Hi everybody, it's Andrea Mercier, aka Anlom, and welcome to my studio. I'm very excited today that I'm going to be doing the Creative Arts Collaboration hashtag event for October. And the official hashtag is Think Pink Art from the 15th to the 18th of October, which is tomorrow. And I thought it was Friday, so I'm a little bit behind schedule. And although the official tag is Think Pink Art, some people have been tagging Love Pink Art, so I've put both in because I don't want to get missed out of any playlists. So October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the color of that ribbon is pink. So everybody's doing stuff in pink. Pink is not my favorite color. However, I decided if I'm going to be doing something pink, I'm going to go big or go home. So everything I'm using on this piece today is going to be pink. So I pulled out all my pink paints, the pink spray that I made yesterday. I've got pink glue, I've got pink 3D paint, I've got pink paper, I've got pink embellishments, pink washi tape. So I've never done anything like this before, so it's going to be interesting. A couple of notes. I have a new camera set up today, so it's a little bit skewed. I can't seem to get it exactly the way I want, but it's closer to my work surface, so I think we're going to get a better high-definition picture. My husband is on his way home, which means at some point in this video, the dog is going to bark, and I apologize profusely ahead of time. Plus, I was away last week for a week on the road with my husband, and our cat is still very needy, so she's been circling me meowing. So you're going to hear meowing and barking and quite possibly cursing from me. Isn't that fantastic? Okay, let's get going. So this is what we're doing. I'm going to put that aside. I am going to be using as my substrate a piece of 11 by 15 Strathmore watercolor. This is 140 pound, and this is really good for wet media. And this is their Series 300, the yellow pads, and they're really, really good. I mean, they're very thick, which means we can get very wet. We can be putting, because I'm going to be putting in some collage, some matte medium, so it's going to be very good for that, which is fantastic. So again, I'm going to try and keep it straight. It's actually my camera that's crooked. I just can't seem to convince it to stay one way. So forgive me for that. I was going to tape it down to hold it, but then I realized I couldn't swing it around. So the first thing I'm going to do is, am I going to gesso? Should I gesso my paper? I'm not going to gesso my paper. I am too lazy to gesso my paper. So let me get some of this out of the way. So I'm going to put down some paper first. So the small papers have come out of this Momenta cardstock. It's all like animal prints. So I picked 2 animal prints, which I think looks like a tiger slash zebra or a jaguar slash leopard, which I think nice and strong. So we're going to do that. And then I have this one. I'm only going to use the pink part. This comes from a Recollection Simply Pastel paper block. And this one was really nice. I'm not a pastel person, but it had to have been on sale. It's the only way I would have bought it. But it had some really, I think I picked it up for this, the roses. I'm pretty sure that's why I picked it up, was for the roses. And maybe that. I think that's it. So we're going to be using that. I have some mulberry papers. I bought an envelope sample of a whole bunch of different papers. It wasn't Dick Blick. It might have been Dick Blick. It was a long time ago. I got this big pack of sample paper. So I picked out the 2 that are the pinkest, although they're not really, they're kind of purple, but I thought I could rip those up and collage them on. Which means I'm going to need some Mod Podge, because that's what I've been using lately, because it's cheap. I'm so very impressed with the Mod Podge. I know when I first started doing these videos, I wasn't super duper thrilled with the Mod Podge, but you know what? It's really it's really worked out. Okay, so we're going to Mod Podge these papers on. Again, I have never done anything like this before. This is all super duper new to me. I've been following Patty Tolley Parrish, and she was the first person I ever followed, and so she's the one I've been following the longest. She does all kinds of stuff like this, and I've been following tons of ladies actually, but I've never done something like this before, so bear with me, we're all gonna learn together, yay! So I want to take that yellow piece out. No yellow, today is pink only day. And I don't like straight edges. I have learned something from these ladies. So if you want the color edge to show, rip back. And if you want the white edge to show, rip forward. See, you learn something new every day. So I'm just gonna tear this. So I don't know if you can see, maybe I'll come in a little bit here. There we go. I mean, you can still see most of it. These mulberry papers are very fibrous, so they're going to give lots of really good texture. All right. Here goes nothing. Should I paint this first? Should I put down some paint maybe? Why not? Let's take a really kind of cheapo, this is Cherry Blossom Pink by Deco Art. We'll just put a little bit of that down. And this one is Tutti Frutti Pink by Deco Art. And we'll just mash up the back with that. And of course I'm making a mess. Where's my handy dandy wipe? I find this too close. There we go. That's a little bit better. You won't be able to see anything. All right. My brush. Now because this wasn't gessoed, and I mean you don't have to gesso paper. Sometimes I like to, if I'm going to be doing some stuff on it that's going to sink in, like this, if I had thought about this beforehand. So of course the paper is, or the paint is sinking into the paper. So what valuable lesson have I learned? Perhaps if I actually had a plan ahead of time, I would have been able to say, you know what, I should probably gesso, but I didn't. So that's okay. We're just throwing down a little bit of color so that when we put the paper down, oh yeah. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward all the rest and just get a goodly amount of paint down here, and then we'll come back and do some Mod Podging. Okay, so that took a lot longer than I thought, and I learned a couple of things. So I don't use crafter's paint a lot, but it was the reason why it was sinking in so fast. It dries super duper quick. So I was finding with the other paints that I added, like the Grumbacker and the Artist Loft, that they would stay wet longer. So I actually went and wet my brush at one point so that I could blend some of them together. And then I realized, you know what? I don't have to have paint everywhere because it's the acrylic artist in me. We believe, or some of us believe, that the canvas shouldn't be showing, and I was trying to cover up everything, and then I realized I'm putting down paper and it's not an acrylic painting, so just let it go. So there we go. I've done that. So I'm just going to clean off my brush, and I don't think this is going to need much drying because it's pretty much all dry. So now I'm going to place some papers out and see where I want them to go. I really like this one. Okay, it's kind of sort of done. I just wanted to put a few things out. After I put this down, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the mulberry paper because it's very expensive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Mod Podge down this, and then I think I'm going to put a bit of gesso over it to push it down in the background, and then I'll put the mulberry papers on. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, now I need some white gesso. Oh, here we go. This is just Artist Loft from Michael's white gesso. It's a pretty thick gesso. I have other gessos that are a lot thinner than this. This is a pretty thick one. I'm going to use... What am I going to do? I knew that cat was going to meow. I knew you were going to meow right at the worst time. So I'm just going to take a bit of this out. Shush. No. There's no meowing. Mommy's videotaping. She's a calico, so she has an opinion on everything. So you can't see it, but right here, I've put out some gesso, and I'm just going to take a handy dandy wet nap. Not wet nap. What are these? Baby wipes. Thank you, whoever was out there and psychically sent me that message. My handy dandy baby wipe. And I'm just gonna smear some of this around the edges. Oh, no, that's not gonna work. Okay, let's try my fingers. There we go. Just to break up the edges a little bit. Oh, you'd think I'd never painted before in my life. Actually, I'm going to tell you, this is the cheapy gesso, and I have to say, I'm not liking the lack of opaqueness in this. I mean, I just bought it because it was there. I figured all gessos were the same. Apparently, I was wrong. Apparently, I was wrong. So, lessons learned. You get what you pay for, so... I remember I used this gesso on another project, and I had to put like 3 or 4 coats on, and I just thought it was me that day, but as far as I'm concerned, real gesso should be very stark white, and this one's kind of, I don't know if you can see it's shiny. It shouldn't be shiny. Gesso has chalk or chalk-like substance in it, so that it gives the canvas and or substrate tooth. And I'm not feeling a lot of chalkiness in that, so that might be why it's not as good as some of the other ones I've purchased. Oh well, lessons learned. A lot on this video and in my video series is about lessons learned. What valuable lessons have I learned? A, don't do it that way. B, don't use that product. Now, to the uninitiated, which includes me right now, this looks like a complete waste. It's like you just put all that paint down and everything, now you're covering it up. From what I've been taught, this just shoves everything in the background. Because you have to realize, I was trained as an acrylic painter, and when you wanted to shove something in the background, you painted something in front of it. This is the same technique, it's just done in a different way where you gesso and then you push stuff to the back. It's very strange for me to do this. So for those of you out there who are new to mixed media like I am, this is normal. There. Alright. Clean off my fingers. I don't want to put that much on that one. I want those leopard stripes. There's leopard spots to show through a little bit more. Kelly! Stop sitting at the door meowing. Freaking cat. We went away for a week, and we had the neighbor in to take care of her. And, I mean, she's a good cat. She's a very, very good cat. However, being a calico, she has an opinion on everything, which means that for the next week, we're going to have to listen to that while she complains about how awful it was when we were away. Plus, she's not allowed outside right now because she keeps jumping the fence. We haven't figured out a way of preventing her from doing that. I've put up trellis. I've blocked it with plants, and yet she still finds a way into my poor neighbor Ed's backyard. I'm just going to close the door. Alright. So I have this, which to my eye is a mess right now. However, I've never met Dina Wakely. Patty Tolley Parrish says that Dina Wakely says that it should look like puke on a page when it's done, and so that's what I'm going for. Pink puke on a page. Alright, I'm going to dry this. Okay, so I've decided that I'm going to put down some molding paste. And I'm going to do it with this stencil in the background. Yes, that's what I'm doing. So this is, you know what? Where did I get this? Does this even have a... No, it doesn't have a manufacturer's name on it. I have no idea. I'm very new to stencils. I have a lot of Patty Totally Parish stencils, and then a few that I purchased on iStencils when she has the, when she does a release like she did last week. I go and I look for other stuff, and I get my 20% off on that as well. Okay, so this is light molding paste. Light just because I don't need anything heavy duty, and I'm hoping it will dry faster. Alright, so screw this going square stuff. Here we go. I was watching Creations by CC, or CC Creations, I can't remember. Anyways, Catherine Cote, I believe she's from Canada as well. I think she's in Montreal. And yesterday when I was watching one of her videos, which I will find and link to here so that you can see it, she did molding paste over molding paste over molding paste. And I thought that was really cool. So I'm going to do that now. This will all be in the background. I'm not new to molding paste, but I am certainly new to putting it through stencils. I also found out the hard way on one of my cheap stencils, thank God, that although you don't have to clean your stencils when you use them on the jelly plate or when you're painting, it's absolutely necessary to clean them after you've used molding paste, because molding paste dries like cement, and then that's it. Your stencil is done. So as soon as I finish slapping some more of this on, I am going to go and dump this into my sink of hot Murphy oiled water. I use Murphy oil soap, and it takes paint and everything else out of everything else. It's great for your brushes too. It conditions them at the same time. Alright, I think that is done. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I love that. I'll be back. In case you hadn't noticed, my stencils all have these little J-clips on them. I don't know if you can see it or not right here, J-clips. And now that it's been washed, I'm going to hang it with the rest of them. I have a little shelf. You know the shelves that you buy that go into the your closets, and it's got the bar that lets you slide the hangers all the way across. I put one of those shelves up on my wall, and I hang all of my stencils off of it. So A, they dry, and B, they're easy to organize, and I don't have to worry about it. Okay, now I'm going to dry this, and then we will come back. Okay, so that is mostly dry, and as you can see, the paper has started to buckle, which is normal because we put a lot of wet stuff on there. We put wet media on it, we put gesso on it, and then we put... When I was in college, we used to complain all the time about our paper buckling and canvas boards buckling and stuff like that. And our teacher, Rob, said, well, I'll show you a trick. So I'm going to show you the trick. and then we can see if it works together. I have a couple of other tricks, but this is one. So what he used to say is take gesso and just make a big X on the back. And what it does is it puts moisture on the back and it pulls the paper back together because all of the medium and everything is on the front. So the paper buckles towards the front. Now if you put a big X on the back, it helps pull the canvas board or pull the substrate back into itself. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put a big X on it. We're going to let that dry. I'm not going to make you watch me while that dries. I'm actually going to turn my camera off, let that dry. Let the front of it completely dry. Because I actually don't know what I'm going to be doing next. So this will give me a chance to figure out what that is. So we'll be back in a little bit. Just a quick interlude while the piece is drying. I forgot to show you what was actually on this. I love this one because I do like script, but I just like that it's all I love you, love of my life, I adore you, amore, you are mine, P.S. I love you, you mean the world to me, bear hug, sweetie, you are my sunshine, love is kind, kiss me, and crazy about you. I just think that that's going to be great in that background, and I forgot to tell you what it was so that you could see that the pink and these sentiments really go well together. Okay, we're back. So this is completely dried. Don't know how much the gesso helped. However, it doesn't much matter right now because I'm about to add a huge amount of wet onto this. So I took these 4 paints. So Liquitex, Medium Magenta, Artist Loft Brilliant Magenta, Amsterdam Permanent Red Violet Light, and Amsterdam Reflective Rose. And I've made some washes with them, so I'm just going to get those out of the way. Now, in earlier videos, I did tell you that you should not water down your paints with water because you will possibly script the integrity of the paints, and that is true. Because what happens is that it loses its integrity enough that it can't stick to the substrate, or when it's dried or cured, it could flake off. However, in this instance, it's not the top, it's not the last layer. There's going to be a lot more stuff going on it. And this is a mixed medium piece as opposed to a fine art piece. And I hate saying that because as far as I'm concerned, mixed media is a fine art. It's a different kind of fine art. However, I have very expensive additives that I can put into it, and I wanted a lot of wash, so I'm cheating by using water. So what I did was I just took some globs of paint, put them in, mixed them with water so that I can get some really thin washes, and what I'm going to do is put it over that molding paste. It's going to sink into the molding paste because the molding paste isn't gessoed, and I'm going to get some drippage. So let's see how much of a mess that's going to make. I think that's going to make a huge mess. That's okay. So let me back up my camera here a bit. There we go. Alright, I think that's as good as it's going to get for this. So I just want to make sure that I have good focus. I think that's as good as it's going to get. Alright. So I have a 1.5 inch brush, and basically what I'm going to do is just be globbing the wash on to see if I can get it to sink into those letters and create little pools. And then we're going to dry it, and then I'll figure out what I'm doing next because I still don't know. So let me just get into some of that magenta here. Alright, so we're just going to I'm just going to slap a little bit on in different areas. I've got my handy dandy wipe. So we're just going to, my fear is right now that it's going to be too dark, but actually it's not. So, all right, let's slap some of that on, let it sink in. And then we'll move some of it. A little bit of a wash here. Rinse my brush. I'm going to take some of this neon pink. And I'm just going to slap that here. And maybe over here. I'm not wearing my good clothes today or my good jewelry, so that's good. Okay, put that there. Get the lighter of the two magentas. Just slap that on. And of course these are going to be very sheer because there's so much water in them. So it's not going to cover up the back either. So there's darker pinky magenta. And put that there. A little bit down here. Okay, and I'm going to go back to this one. And then this one. See here how it's, I don't know if you can, let me, actually it's happening here too, where it's pooling around the letters. That's kind of what I was looking for. So I'm just gonna, a little bit here, and do a little bit of splatter, splatter, splatter. Okay, there's too much, oops, you can't see that anymore. I'm yakking away and you can't even see what I'm talking about. So there's too much here because there's a dip in the paper there. So I'm just going to remove a little bit and let that move around a bit. Let me just move that around a little bit. This is completely outside of my comfort zone too. Like completely outside my comfort zone. Which is good, right? That's why we do these projects, not only to share different art pages and artists, but to, you know, have these events so that we can say, oh, I'm doing something completely different and uncomfortable, which is what I'm doing this month. I'm going to put some more of that there. I lifted up too much. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the heat gun to this and dry some of it and then pick up whatever remains with the baby wipe and see what happens. I'm just gonna, I really kind of like the way that's pooling now that it's doing what I want it to do. And some of this hot paint over here. Just want to make sure all of the gesso, not gesso, the molding paste letters are got some form of color on them. And I think they do. And again, a little, like if you're gonna make a mess, right? Go big or go home. Okay, I'm gonna try and take the heat gun to it. It's very, very wet, so I don't know how efficient that's gonna be. I'm gonna keep these in case I want to do some more splattering later, but I'm gonna take the heat gun to this and see what happens. so this is mostly dry, not completely dry. And I would like to point out a few things. One, you can really see where the gesso is now because the gesso resisted the wash, because the wash had no integrity to the paint, right? So the paint really, it can't really stick to anything because it doesn't have enough of the acrylic plasticness in it to stick. So it really washed over where the gesso was, which is kind of good. I'm not really happy with it. So I really love the way that the molding paste soaked up the color. Some of these places I might highlight later. I'm not sure how yet because I don't know what I'm doing. But now what I want to do is actually push back some of that gesso. The gesso is too much now, so now I want to take paint and I want to push it back. So let me just clean up this mess here. Let's see, move that out of here. So I'm going to take, so there's like way too much white now as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to take my smaller brush. Oops, my mulberry papers, those still have yet to come. I'm just going to put out, let's see, some other colors of the paint. And I'm just going to do the same thing I did with the first layer. I'm just going to take a bunch of different paints. Actually, I'm going to take all of the paints. Just put them out on my craft mat here. And I think I'm just going to cover up as much of the white as I can. Unfortunately, that means I'm going to be covering up a lot of the paper. You can still see the paper right now, but I don't know if you're going to see the paper by the time I'm done. So let me just put out a couple of these. Oh, those look almost exact. Okay, so let's not use that one because that one's very expensive. And this is another PBO one. Oops, that's the same as that one, isn't it? I put down the same PBO twice. I suck. Okay. Basically, what I'm doing now is just trying to cover up some of the white. I'm not worried about the letters right now because I'm going to come back and highlight them later. So as you can see, the PBO Dyna colors, they have some shimmer in them. So it's going to give everything a little bit of a... So let's put some darker stuff. Wait, where's my... Now I don't have enough white, so I'm going to scrub a little bit. See how it's going to actually give me a little bit more of a marbled effect. So some of that is going to get wiped back off. Oops, be careful. Your molding paste is a little bit wet. There we go. I think I have a good balance now between white and pink. Okay, so I'm not happy with what I've done. I went way too dark. I went way too dark. So I'm taking a moist sea sponge and some very light pink paint, and I'm going to break up the darkness, and then I'm going to come back and re-highlight the lettering, because now of course the lettering is sunk into the background, and some of it I don't want to sink into the background. So actually what I might do is leave it like that, and then after I put on all the other things that I want to put on, you know what, I'm actually going to put some white out. I know, I just spent 10 minutes covering up the white. It's a process. So let me just get some of that out. Oh good, I've just put white paint all over my wall. Whoop, whoop. What I'll do is by the time I finish putting on my paper and some stamps and perhaps some more stencils, I will, there'll only be a few of the letters showing, and then I'll highlight those few. Like I want to highlight one of the loves and one of the kiss me's and one of that. So let me just... Again, I'm all very, very new to this. This is just completely outside of my realm. So we may want to have, I might actually dry this and do another wash to re-highlight some of these. But yeah, it was definitely way too dark because I couldn't do anything on it. I couldn't stamp on it. I couldn't do anything. So this way it's a little bit more mottled. Now, I'm going to leave that like that for a minute. Put that in water. I'm going to show you a trick. That I learned back in college. A little piece of sponge, a little bit of texture. Okay. This is going to dry. Let's see. No, that's a little bit too streamy. I want more squirty. Spray-y. No, that's not working. That's not working like I'd hoped. Ah, there we are. Okay. This is still damp. I'm going to very lightly mist it. I'm going to let it dry for, like, mostly dry. And then I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to lift it off, and it will take off part of the paint that's there and then show part of the background. The trick to this is waiting the appropriate amount of time. So you want it to be almost dry, but the water to still have little beads. So I'm going to pause the camera and then wait, oh, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, because I'm not going to take the heat gun to it. I don't want to force it to dry. I want it to do it naturally. And actually that's a little bit fine. I want some goodly drops too. It's just some bigger drops, because those take longer to dry. So some of the drops will be dry and other drops won't be dry, and those are the ones that will still pick up. Okay. I know, I'm insane. It's all good. Okay, so that didn't work either. So my frustration level is rising a little bit. So what I've done is I've come back with the sponge. I forgot to turn the camera on because of my frustration level. What I did is I move the camera a bit. So I took some of this magenta and some of the hot pink, and I have gone back in and just done some dabs with my sea sponge. So I'm going to kind of be starting with a new background, because once this is done and dry, I have, like, all the paper that I put down is gone. All the stuff that I Mod Podge is gone. All my wash is gone. The only thing I have left now is the texture from the molding paste, and then I'm going to have a whole bunch of sponge stuff. So technically, if you're watching this video, you could skip the first 7 parts. Put down some gesso, put down some molding paste, and then kind of take a sponge it on, and you'll be at the exact same spot, and you'll have saved 2 hours of your life. Not that it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just, it can be frustrating when you have a limited amount of time. I was away, so I didn't really get an opportunity to prepare well for this because I only got home late Monday. And then, of course, thought that my deadline was on Friday. So, you know, I have to learn from this. And what I've learned is that there's nothing really screwed up. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I have sponged this all over. At the very least, I like that. I just want one more darker color. And as you can see, because of the moisture, the paper has almost completely flattened out. I have no idea if putting that X on the back was relevant or not. All I know is that it's pretty much flattening out, and it could be just because of the amount of paint that I've put on. So I'm just going to put on some of this really, really dark magenta, just a little bit. And yeah, there we go. So I'm going to have a very mottled pink background, which is fine. With my texture, and of course, because I'm bananas, I'm going to add just a tad more white, and then I'm going to let it dry, probably naturally, while I go edit the first part of this video. Just see, it's mixing there. I don't want that. I want stark white. Stark white. There we go. Stark white. There we go. Okay, so that's what we're left with. I really feel bad about the wash because I really liked the wash. So what I might do is, after this is dry, I might do some more of the wash on it. Not that it'll soak into the molding paste. It won't, because now the molding paste has 17,000 layers of paint on it. But I might do it so that it pools a little bit. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. So apologies for up to this point taking you down the garden path, but we're both learning. I've learned, you've learned, the poodle has learned, everybody has learned. So we'll be back. Okay, we're back. So I went to go and regroup because I have to admit this has been a little bit frustrating for me because I'm completely out of my element. And, you know, one of the challenges of being an artistic creative person is you have an image in your brain, and then it doesn't happen, and then you don't know what to do. So this has been the first 47 minutes of this video has been me going through the motions and process and not ending up where I wanted to end up. Okay, enough of that. So while I was off camera, I did some stamping on some deli paper. I did this so that I could Mod Podge it on. So I've got some different stamps here that I thought would be really nice. And then I thought, well, I would take some of the pieces of deli that were left over and I put them in those washes, and I just let them soak in so I could like rip this up and collage that on. And then I took a couple of the items that I did stamp, and I put those deli papers in too. Just, you know, because I don't know, I didn't know what else to do. I also fixed up some of my sprays, so I have a gold now that works, a black that works, and now I have a white that works, which is good. And I also took out a couple of ink pads, and I have this white one, and I was thinking I'd very gently brush it over the top of my molding paste letters, and maybe I could bring them back out. I just don't know if I want to do it with white, which I probably don't, or if I wanted to do it with maroon or black. I don't know. I'm afraid. So let's find out together. Of course, my paper is not flat either, right? As we know, it's buckled a little bit. Let's see if I can. Am I even getting? Oh yeah, look at that. I'm getting it everywhere. Everywhere except where I want it. Okay, so let's take black. Oh, that's going in between the letters. I don't want that. Nope, don't like that. Okay, we'll be doing that. I was hoping that the ink pad would just go off the top. Now, of course, what would be awesome right now would be some. So I have some purple Inca gold somewhere, and I have no idea where it is right now. Because then I would have been able to just rub that on top of the words, and then at least I would know what kind of outcome I would get, even though it's purple. Purple, but I have no idea where it is. So, no Inca gold. Although while I was looking for the Inca gold, I found my Dilutions pink. Well, actually, I found all my Dilutions paints, which I won at the Maryland weekend. So I'm gonna put some of that on while I'm thinking about what the heck I'm gonna do next. Oops. So I'm going to fast forward through this because you probably don't want to see this. Oh, look at that. Okay. Okay, that's not so bad. Okay, that's too much. Where's my wet nabs? Not my wet nabs. Where's my baby wipes? Eee! Okay, that worked a little bit. Not as much as I was hoping. But that's giving me an idea. Maybe I can do this with white paint or black paint to bring that back. Okay. Instead of worrying about that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down my stenciling first and my stamping. I'm going to do that first, and then, so the words that I want to keep, I really want to keep love, and I really want to keep a couple of other ones, kiss me, and maybe one of those hearts. So let's see what happens here. Let's start with a bit of Mod Podge and some of of these and see if this will, let's see if this will improve things. So all I did was take deli paper and stamp on it. Now I know that it is not going to be completely transparent. However, Shannon Green and Patty Totally Parish have videos, just taking some of the wash and putting that on, have videos about how you can use Daddy Van's furniture beeswax polish, and it makes the deli paper or the tissue paper completely transparent. So what I'm going to do is just dab on some of the wash that I have over here and see if I can hide that a bit, make it blend in a little bit better. I mean, you can still see it, but that's certainly not going to be my last layer. I don't think I'll ever have a last layer on this. There's a very good possibility I could be doing this one for the rest of my life. Okay, pity party over. Okay, so there we have a nice dragonfly. And over here, actually, is this one dry yet? I have this one. I think I'm going to put this one right here. And put that down. I don't know if that's better or worse. I'm going to put some of the wash on that. Just using my fingers and making a mess. There we go. Using my fingers and making a mess. And then I have, I just have actually some of this other deli paper that's just different colors. And I'm just going to rip up in case I Mod Podge that on too. I need black. This one isn't dry yet. Okay, I'll have to wait for that one. But I have this one. So I can, oops. Okay, I want that love to be there. Just put down my paintbrush for a second. Where's my white paint? Let's see if I can. See if I can highlight that. No, not really. Because it keeps going down in between the letters too. Yeah, not liking that. What else do I have that I could use? Let me just, give me a second here. I've got a flat makeup sponge and some black gesso. Just going to put a couple of drops of the black gesso out. Will this flat sponge do a better job of catching that and highlighting it? No, it will not. Alright. Never mind. I'm really at a loss here. I'm not sure what to do. brayer. What a brayer do it? My hard brayer. This is my hard brayer. What if I just put some paint on that? Would that just do the tops? Nope, because my paper is not flat. See, it does it a little bit. I think I'm going to call this a fail. I think I'm going to start over. I'm going to start over. So I'm still going to publish this video. Just maybe there's some things in the video that people have learned. I've definitely learned. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and start over again. Which is unfortunate, but I can't figure out how to save this right now. Completely out of my element. So I'm going to start over. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I will put a warning at the beginning of the video letting everybody know that I never finished this project, and they can watch it if they want, but I think I should post it because I think there's other people out there who have the same issues as I do. I'll post it after I post the one that I actually finish. And that's it. Sorry.